very good opportunity today to have CS Thakur, who was priorly associated with us at our institute, and now he is serving at LD Engineering College. So first of all, I would request Maradia sir or Rathod sir to give a brief introduction about ICC and its activities. Rathod sir or Maradia sir.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of Institutions Innovation Council, I welcome all the participants. They are joined with us. First, I welcome to Dr. Chirag Thaker sir, who has done marvelous work over here, and our institute gets a 4-star accreditation last IIC 3. So hope we will continue this achievement. So our institute has a IIC ranking. We are participating since 2018. We have also accredited our institute by Atal ranking as a promising institute brand. We have a pre-incubation center. We have a entrepreneur cell, and we have done so many activities. Institutions given some of the day celebration and all other things. We have a mentorship. We have started just now. We are trying to start up the mentor and mentee type of the activities in the future. And also, we have participated in a. We have a 10 institution ambassadors. We have done two impact lecture series during the COVID situation. So I think with this our introduction. So this is about the introduction about the institution innovation council. Now I welcome.
Sir, you are not clearly audible, sir. Rathod sir.
Principal sir, I welcome Principal sir to give some bless to us for this event.
Thank you, Professor Rathod sir. Am I audible, Prapti?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, you are audible.
First of all, on behalf of GC Rajkot family, I welcome today's speaker, Professor Dr. Chirag Thaker, actually who is one of us and still is taking interest in our IIC and SSIP cell at GC Rajkot. So we all are very happy from bottom of our heart to have such a renowned academician and expert who did a lot of work in the SSIP and IIC portfolio at our institute also and in past also. This online seminar today is on the opportunities for students and faculties for the early stage entrepreneurs. So that means I'm sure that the content of the seminar that is going to be delivered by speaker will be very, very useful to our all faculty mentors who are mentoring the early stage entrepreneurs who are in our pre-incubation center. As Professor K.B. Rathod said, that we have a pre-incubation facility at the institute itself under the SSIP scheme, and our IIC is also doing a lot of work in this direction. So faculty must be sensitized first and must have enough knowledge how to make an ecosystem and how to keep this ecosystem sustainable. So this seminar will be very, very useful to the faculty mentors also, those who are mentoring in the techno-commercial aspect of the entrepreneurship to our various students. Similarly, students who are at the undergraduate level and who are doing the SSIP project or entrepreneurship activity to become an entrepreneur in future, this seminar will be very useful because this seminar will deliver the insight of the early entrepreneurship while particularly you are at the pre-incubation center. So I wish a grand success to this seminar and I congratulate once again to a speaker Chirag Thaker Sahib and our IIC Chairman Professor KB Rathod Sahib, our coordinator Prapti Pandya and our entire SSIP IIC team for organizing such a very nice online seminar for the benefit of the early stage entrepreneurs, means our students and the mentor faculty. Thank you very much. Once again, I welcome you all as a participants because without the participants, any program or any seminar cannot be a successful. So you all are once again welcome on behalf of GC Rajkot. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Principal Sir. Now I would like to give a brief introduction about our speaker today to all the participants. So today we are grateful that we have Dr. C.S. Thaker with us, who is currently professor and head of Computer Engineering Department of LD College of Engineering and Technology, Ahmedabad. Sir has completed his graduation and masters from DDIT University with first class and has done PhD in computer science in engineering. He has over 20 plus years of experience in academic working at various institutes like DDIT Nadyad, Government Polytechnic Gandhinagar, LD College of Engineering, and SS Engineering College Bhavnagar. Sir has guided various PhD scholars, postgraduates, and undergraduates in the areas of artificial intelligence, cloud computing, big data analytics, green cloud computing, and much more. He has published and presented more than 50 papers in national and international conferences and journals. Sir has also achieved Best Paper Award twice in international and national conferences. He has delivered various expert talks in topics like IoT, machine learning, and cloud computing. In addition to this, Sir has also been a chairperson at international conferences on ICT for intelligent systems and ICT for sustainable development. Sir has also been a judge for national conferences and poster competitions. Sir has also customized a book on data and file structures, which was a publication by Pearson Education. In addition to this, Sir has also reviewed a book on fundamentals of information and communication technology for TMH publication. Sir has also delivered more than 50 plus expert talks and webinars. So we are very much grateful that we are having such a versatile personality for us today on the topic Accelerators or incubation, that is opportunity for students and faculties as early stage entrepreneurs. So now I welcome C.S. Thaker sir to give the presentation and give the knowledge to students as well as faculties for the topic. C.S. Thaker sir. I think sir has faced some technical issue. We will just wait for 2 to 3 minutes for sir to rejoin. Sir is rejoining in a short period, and he will be back in just few minutes. He will
Prapti,
be
allow him if you find the request. Because sometimes in Google, again permission is needed.
yes, yes,
So
sir.
please see that.
Yes, yes, sir. I am live, sir. Sir has joined, sir.
Prapti, again request Professor Chirag to
Yes,
start and lecture.
yes, sir. Chirag, sir. I request you to please start the webinar. Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Great.
Yes, now
Thank
you are
you.
audible as well as visible, sir.
I think I have been given the presenter rights.
Yes, sir.
Okay. There are some issues with the screen presenting, but anyway, I have to switch over to another bandwidth operator. So let me start by thanking Honorable Principal Sir uh, and the IIC President of GEC Rajkot for giving me this opportunity. Uh, a very good friend of mine, Professor KB Rathod, and all faculty members, esteemed faculty members of GEC Rajkot, for ensuring the trust in me and inviting me for this session. I apologize because I have to change the bandwidth operator because there are some bandwidth hiccups and issues. But anyway, I'll just give me 2-3 minutes and I'll be able to share my screen. Uh, Prati ma'am, have you given me the presenter rights?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Sir, you are meeting host now.
Because my Mac actually doesn't allow me to share the screen. That's the issue.
Sir, you are co-host right now.
Yeah, I understand. Fine.
Chirag sir,
Jovita, the Google recording facility is not enabled.
Chirag sir,
Haji.
uh, uh, we can do one thing,
Ha.
sir. You can send your presentation to Prapti.
Yeah. Yes.
She will be playing from here.
Okay.
That is one alternate. So,
Yes, yes.
if
Yes,
possible,
We can save
kindly
time.
do
Yes.
email.
sir.
And
Yes.
Yes,
Prapti,
yes,
you
sir.
download and yeah, you
Yes, sir.
download
Yes, sir. You
and
shared
then
it to me.
can try to present.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
है ना?
yes.
Yes, sir.
Ha.
Help him to presentation.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Madam, you have to text me your email ID.
Yes, sir.
Google has changed its recording policy, and I think that is actually creating the issue because I delivered a session just 7 days before, but
Sir, I have sent you via WhatsApp. Please
yes.
check it.
So let me utilize the same time to brief about this session which I am going to deliver. By the time I send the uh, PPTs to Madam Coordinator, again, I thank the able leadership of GEC Rajkot, Maradia sir, and Rathod sir. It is taking more time because the file is almost 40 MB in size. So it is taking some time due to the bandwidth limitation at my place. But once it gets connected and attached, I'll send it to Prapti ma'am.
Dr. Chirag Thaker sir,
हाँ sir. I'll send you the presentation. So, sir, anyway, I know my presentation. So let me start by the time Madam Prapti actually shares the screen. So my session is going to, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are
Okay,
audible, sir.
fine. So let the recording start and let me start my session. My session is going to be titled Accelerators, Incubation Opportunities for Students and Faculties, Early Stage Entrepreneurship. And one more time, I'm thankful to the entire fraternity, IIC fraternity of GEC Rajkot. I acknowledge the content. This is my disclaimer page. The presentation acknowledges content, especially I have taken images and GIFs which are taken from Google. There are many slides in which the image source is written, but I acknowledge that the common Google image URL is www.images.google.com. And the images and GIFs are used purely for an academic purpose. And that's why as a presenter, I have no intention of copyright infringement. Because as IIC ecosystem also, that we have to always respect the Creative Commons license as well as the intellectual property rights. And that's why as a presenter, I declare that I have no intention of copyright infringement. Generally, I start my sessions with quotes, and this is from one of the best designer and innovator, this late Steve Jobs. He says innovation is the ability to see change as an opportunity, not a threat. So this is from Steve Jobs, and it is very much related to our today's content. So she has shared the presentation.
Sir,
Uh,
is the screen visible now, sir?
the screen is visible, but it's in
Okay.
infinite loop mode. But yeah, now it is visible. But you have to
Okay,
open
it is
with
visible.
Google Slides. You have to open
Okay.
it with Google Slides.
Okay,
to
okay,
go to-
sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
And I apologize. Uh, Generally, Google keeps on changing their policies of presentation and recording. So once you go for recording, if you are not having the institutional sometimes it gives you the problem, and that is what we have encountered today. My sincere apology for that. And let me start uh, the presentation. So the second quote is from Dean Kamen. He says, every once in a while, there is a new technology, an old problem, and a big idea turn into an innovation. So this is what he has given the ingredients. He says for innovation, the major ingredients are new technology paradigm or model, an old problem, and a very big idea. And when you put them together in a very cohesive way, you can actually get the uh, innovation. Madam, can you go to fourth slide? Yeah, fourth one. Yeah. So this is the quote I was talking about. Rathod sir, am I audible and my screen is perfectly visible?
Yes, sir, perfectly.
Perfectly, sir.
Okay.
Perfectly.
Okay.
Please.
Fine. So, madam, next slide, please. So this is going to be the flow of presentation. I will talk about incubation processes and stages. Then we will definitely discuss ideas about accelerator. And then we will have a very large, very few slides dedicated to the comparison of incubator and accelerator. And then we will enter the second leg of our discussion, that is entrepreneur. What is the role of an entrepreneur? What are the features an entrepreneur need to have? And then we will discuss about types and phases of entrepreneurship. And then I will enter the last leg of my presentation, that is going to be the startups. I will have for fun, we will have some icons and why startups are related and required. And then we will discuss the startup stages and phases, and then some thoughts on innovation. Next slide, please. So this is regarding incubation. So these are the parameters which we can have on incubation. So incubation has four major pillars: cultural connect, capital, capabilities, and concept. Now, when you focus on the pillar concept, actually you have partnerships and connections, and on one side, and you have infrastructure and co-working space on another side. And by merging them, what you create is a business strategy. So once you combine this, now when you focus on capabilities, capability is, it drives the training part, and capital drives the mentoring part. Now when you combine this training and mentoring together, you can create the prototyping facilities. Now once training, mentoring, and prototyping facility is combined, what you can get is the perfect blend of incubation. Next slide, please. Now when I can say incubation, there are three major stages: pre-incubation, incubation, and post-incubation. Pre-incubation has the ideation or idea phase, then comes the startups, So startup falls in both pre-incubation and incubation. It's on the boundary line. And in incubation, when your startup has taken place, you actually aim for, you as a company, you as a startup enthusiast, you aim for expansion. And once the expansion is done, then you will go for your business maturity. And that's where you can make your startup profitable. So this is the idea of, and it is called development process model, and it was introduced in 2009, and now every single company which is there in startup arena, they are actually following this. Next slide, please. Now, in continuation with what we have discussed, these are the timeline: pre-incubation 6 months, incubation 18 months, and post-incubation 24 months. Now, here also, these are not stringent, because sometimes there are certain, because it depends on upon domain. So if you are in electronics domain, the incubation period or post-incubation period is different. If you are in FMCG domain, your incubation period may be of 3 months, 4 months, or 6 months. It varies. Next, please. So these are the various stages of pre-incubation, and some of the stages actually falls in incubation era also. So the number one is, you have to understand the startup ecosystem. Then you have to undergo the process of idea generation, because every single idea that comes to your mind cannot be termed as idea generation. You have to follow certain theoretical process, certain hygienic process to understand what is an idea generation. And once your idea generation is done, you will apply the design thinking principles on those shortlisted ideas. Once your design thinking principles are addressed, you will develop the proof of concept. And at our institute level, what we encourage our students is the ideation part and then the POC part. And that's why if you visit any academia, they definitely focus that we have this many number of POCs. So you develop the proof of concept. After a proof of concept is developed, you focus on business plan, marketing strategy, and then go to market strategy. Now GTM or go to market strategy is very much, this is where you need handholding. This is where you need mentoring support. Now once your startup incubator is there, your mentors are there, you can definitely go with company formation. Madam, I'll click. Now this incubation stage, before we go with startup creation, there is a selection and admission process, access to finance and legal and administrative support, the physical facilities. Now when I say physical facilities, the co-working space, the fab lab, these are all various avenues through which an incubator can provide the physical facilities. And then there are IP rights, there are some knowledge economy related understanding and all this. And then you go with startup creation. Now when you create the startup is in the early stage, and that's why fundraising, mentoring, coaching, networking, corporate networking, assistant, HR training, these are all various parts of startup stage. And then you will definitely go for expansion. Next. Now these are nothing but the sum up of pre-incubation, then applying that pre-incubation parameters, going with incubation, and then post-incubation period. In post-incubation period, you focus on monitoring business support, training, leveraging the network benefits. You have built the corporate network. Now you are leveraging that corporate network part to take the benefits in for the maturity part in the expansion of your company. If you say incubation, you are mainly interested in terms of focusing on this service specialization, service trainings, various events. And that's why in incubation phase, we actually encourage the startup enthusiasts to take participation in various hackathons or various kind of pitching events and all this. And we have some dedicated slides for that also. Madam, next slide, please. Now this is the complete ecosystem of systemic incubation. Now it's a robust entrepreneurial approach to systematic transformation. So you have got the existing entrepreneurs and all this, and then there is an action part, and there is a adjacent system. Now these adjacent systems have outsiders also, and they also play the authority part. There is a, and by doing this, what you create is you create participatory council. And after creating the participatory council and the intervention of fund and discovery, you actually proceed towards the graduation. But before that, you have incubation. So what do you mean by graduation? When your incubation is successfully leading towards the company formation and all this, we call it graduation part. Now, once you achieve the graduation, then you can go to future state. So there are certain key flows like participation, financial supports, and impact. Now, unless and until you create impact in the market, you cannot be a very successful entrepreneur, and that's why impact creation is also very much important. Next slide, please. Now, when I say proof of concept, and when I say ideation stage, when I say every single idea that comes to your mind cannot be turned into a startup. So obviously because there are many student participants in this, so I have kept this slide for them only. So you have to understand that you need to have the empathy model, the ideation phase, and the basic understanding. So what is the precise problem? Is the precise problem worth solving? Then what targeted solutions might solve the precise problem? What is the innovation implementation plan? And then did the innovation solution solve the problem? And how do we scale successful innovators? So this is how actually before going to your proof of concept, if you consider these 6 gates, perhaps you can very easily arrive at a very successful POC and a startup. Madam, next please. So this is the selection process when we design the IIC at institute level or an incubator. These are the stages like online submission and preliminary screening stage, and then final pitching round and selection stage. So you have to, as an incubator or as a startup ecosystem, you have to launch the online form. Then there is a preliminary scaling, then evaluation of business proposal. Then you have to, once the stage 1 is over, you invite for final pitch presentation to all the startup enthusiasts. You recommend them as startups for incubation program, and then you invite them for discussions, and finally you induct them into incubation program. Now when you induct them into incubation program, basically what you are, so you are an incubator. So that's the next part of my presentation. Madam, so this is incubation and acceleration. Now this slide I have kept because a word is written, it's called valley of death. Now this is, you can see, proof of concepts to revenue growth. Now this is an acceleration part in which there is a valley of death. There are more chances of startups getting failed. So anybody who says that, and it is a very well-known phenomena that some people say that in any country more than 2% startups do not succeed, or maximum startup success ratio is only 3%. So this is the reason, and it is called valley of death. Next slide, please. Now in this next slide, I have actually highlighted the valley of death. We call it innovation valley of death. Now this innovation valley of death has where most institutions are. They are in the non-existence, isolated, or emerging. And where most institutions need to go is systematizing, transforming, and evolving. Now, if they take care of this in the execution part, so on the y-axis, you have got the innovation, which we call innovation gap. And on the right-hand side is the execution axis. And this execution axis, if any company, any startup takes care about defining the processes and systematizing, transforming, and evolving, they can avoid, because they can avoid this innovation valley of death. Next slide, please. So these are 4 major institutions that support startups: incubators, angel investors, accelerators, and then hybrid mode. And there are various parameters based on which the comparison is written. We are, I have already wasted 6 to 7 minutes, so we are not going to anyway explain this, but there are various like duration, selection process, venture stage, educational, and all this. So we will definitely discuss incubators and accelerators in coming slides. Madam, next slide. So this, if you are an incubator, if you want to really build an incubation system at your place, you need management team, advisory board, one CEO who takes care of the complete incubation facility, board of directors, and venture entrepreneurs. If the best example is like GUSET, Gujarat University Startup and Entrepreneurship Cell, GUSET. So in GUSET, like Mr. Rahul Bhakchandani, he is the CEO and he is taking care of the entire incubation system. Next slide, please. So now that is the management part. Now incubation on the other side, to the user side, to the consumer side, it has to take care about, it has to provide services. It has to provide the workspace, the network. When I say network, the human network, the corporate network, the business network support. It has to also act as knowledge hub. The incubator has to arrange many trainings, many sessions for the incubatees so that they actually get the right input at the early stage of startup. And obviously the funding part. Next slide, please. Now, once this is clear, you can very easily see here that uh, there is the venture development on one side, there are innovative projects, there is on one side your current markets, and the first stage is no incubation, no innovation. So from no innovation, you are going towards incubators and innovation. So for that, you need strategic partnerships, you need investment, and sometimes you have to also you have to advise your startups for mergers and acquisition when they become companies. Next slide, please. So this is, I call it the complete innovation ecosystem. Now in this complete innovation ecosystem, what we are going to focus is on incubator, accelerator on one side and entrepreneurs on the other side. And this is going to be the crux of today's talk. We will, incubators, accelerators, or early stage entrepreneurs is going to be. So that's why I have kept the slide. Next slide, please. So for incubator process, there are stages like apply, interview, wait, network, learn, and find fund. Next slide, please. So what are the pros of a business incubator? You can save on rent because they give you the co-working space. You can find fund. There is a learning because it acts as also knowledge hub. So there is a ample opportunity for learn and grow. And you can also improve your focus because you are very much focused when you are part of when you are in incubatee and part of incubation. Next, please. But if you are a startup enthusiast, what are the points you need to consider while choosing the right startup incubator? So the incubator should be able to provide you the pods. What is the cost of the incubation facility? If it is it full-fledged incubator? Yes or no? The curriculum of incubator. What are the well-defined process for an incubator to turn your idea into a startup? You have to study the track record of that particular incubator. You can compare two incubators on various parameters and then you can choose the next incubator. And the location of the incubator. It is, if you have one incubator which is in the heart of Bangalore, and if you have one incubator which is in some remote district of Rajasthan, you can definitely choose which one is better. Next, please. So these are again a comparison. Like incubator has no cohort, pre-accelerator definitely has cohort, accelerator also has the cohort. Incubator, it's in years, pre-accelerator is like in months, 2 to 3 months, accelerator again 2 to 3 months. The environment of incubator is more of protective and nurturing. They actually nurture the incubatees. Pre-accelerator and accelerator is Darwinian. This. What is Darwinian environment? It is survival of the fittest. If you are fittest, you will definitely survive as a startup, as an incubatee. If you are not fittest, there are chances that you may lose your chance to become a successful startup. What is an accelerator program? Now we come to the second part, accelerator. So there is seed funding, intensive scaling, training and learning, D-Day, and mentorship. Next slide, please. So there are many kinds of accelerators, or I can say accelerators takes care of these various phenomena: education, skill upgradation, career focus, innovation, and startup. So we call them innovation accelerator or startup accelerator or skill accelerator. Next slide, please. So if you are focusing on innovation accelerator, this is going to be the flow in which anybody can get into an idea stage, then comes workshop, then POC. Now this POC is clickable proof of concept to validate solutions with users. Unless and until, and that's why I have kept one slide in which what a startup has to do, that will follow the pilot and the scale part. Next slide, please. So these are various industry segments or industry verticals in which 90% of the incubators are working. Either they are working in augmented and virtual reality, or they are working with robotics, IoT, cognitive systems is one major, and 3D printing and next generation security. So these are various stages in which these people are actually working. Next, please. So what is this accelerator process for a startup? You have to apply and get accepted, then funding, then you have to focus on your business idea and startup creation. You have to learn, you have to network with like-minded people. You have to also go for team building, because one or two people cannot create a successful startup. So this is in accelerator, this is a very big part in which they have to build the team. And then you have to go for demo day, which is graduation day, in which you get a thumb that yes, you arrived to the startup world, you arrived to the corporate world. Next slide, please. So now we will compare the accelerators and incubators. So coming 3 to 4 slides are on comparison only. Madam, please. So what is an incubator and what is an accelerator? So incubator actually helps entrepreneurs flesh out business ideas. On other side, accelerator expedites the growth of existing businesses. See, incubator focus on business planning, prototyping, customer delivery, discovery, product development, etc. Accelerator basically focus on business traction, investment, and all other aspects. Timeline is set for a fixed period, like few weeks or months, during which entrepreneur get needed assistance, and it is cohort based or cohort supported program. Incubator has no role of cohort. There is no specific timeline. It ends when a business has an idea or product. Unless and until the people get died out, or their enthusiasm get died out, or people, when I say people get died out, matlab, when their enthusiasm actually died out. So at that time, the incubator says, fine, okay, if you really want to leave the business, you can leave as an incubatee. Otherwise, we are there to support you. Next slide, please. So let us continue with the comparison. So incubation or incubator is a structured collaborative program, and it is designed to help startups succeed. Accelerator is a short-term program. It is usually for startups that already have a minimum viable product. And that's why, what are the primary identifiers for an incubator? Like guidance to form a product or service, seed funding and angel investors, venture capitalists, presentation skills and business etiquettes, networking opportunities. These are the identifiers for incubators. For accelerators, the identifiers are focus on rapid growth, mentorship and guidance, business profitability, industry this, and you have to set there's a set time frame from weeks to months. It's not like it can run for years or 9 months or 10 months. Next slide, please. So this is the definition of an incubator. They are typically funded by the public sector, and they are charged with using this money or rupees to create jobs, serve diverse populations, and encourage economic growth in their communities. They are mostly like businesses for varying amounts of time depending on a company's need and they do not invest financially generally. There are many incubators now, they have started investing. Otherwise, it's more of public fund and NGO support. Next slide, please. Accelerators lead groups of prospective entrepreneurs through a curriculum for a set period of time, typically 2 to 3 months. And the experience culminates like uh, presenting a public business speech or demo day to their mentors. You can build organizations from starters. So that's the role of a starter. Next slide, please. So this is the comparison of incubators versus accelerators. Next slide, please. Now there are various parameters on which I have compared the incubators and accelerators. If you say purpose, so the purpose of incubator is to build the foundation for new startup by offering resources like office space, legal counseling, and sometimes seed money also. Purpose of accelerator is very clear. Advance the growth of existing companies. Connect startups with mentors, guidance, resource, and funding. Duration. Incubators have a very relatively open-ended timeline. On the accelerator, they have a very set time frame, usually 3 to 4 months, maximum 6 months. They allow startups to pitch their idea to investors at the end of the program. So at the end of third month or fourth month, you have to pitch your idea to investor. If investor accepts your idea, you are there. If not, you are out. Next slide, please. The third point of comparison, madam, next slide, please. Previous one is application. So what is the application of incubation? Help startups even if they are slow growing or less scalable. Accelerators require participants to apply for the program. And there is an expect startups to be scalable, investable, and fast growing. If your startup is not scalable or fast growing potential, then accelerators are not meant for you. So far as investment is concerned, incubators don't usually provide capital or take equity. Accelerators invest capital in exchange for equity, and they bear a greater responsibility in the startup's success. And that's why accelerators are there once incubator phase is over. Next slide, please. So this is the summation of what we have discussed in the last 7 to 8 slides. Incubator is from idea to business model. Accelerator is leveraging existing business model. Incubators is for young startups. Accelerator is for startups but with a minimal viable product. Selection is based on business plan in incubator. Selection is based on capability potential in accelerator. So that's why incubator is long term, accelerator is short term. Incubator is open ended or focus on a vertical. Focus in accelerator is on specific vertical or specific technology. So you may find many accelerators which are only in digital technology. You may find many accelerators which are only working in agro business. You may find many accelerators or a couple of accelerators in India who are only working in some kind of service based company. Next slide, please. So again, these are the overlapping features, because we have compared the incubators and accelerators in a greater detail, and that's why what are the commonalities between accelerators and incubators? So these are the common overlapping features: training, mentoring, business support, selectiveness. These are the common. Am I audible completely, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Next slide, please. So why startups need incubators or accelerators? Your obvious question, and these are the answers. And we already discussed them. This is the second time we are repeating them. Networking opportunities, access to resources, exposure to industry experts and mentors. This is very big aspect of an incubator or accelerator. Access to funding, accelerate the growth and provide the complete ecosystem to support. Next slide, please. Now, what governments can do, because incubators and accelerators, governments can, they can provide grants, they can provide subsidies, they can give local tax breaks, like if you say our SSIP policy, government of Gujarat, whether your SSIP in any stage, they don't take equity. So local tax breaks they can give, like for a successful startup for 3 years, for 5 years, no local tax. Israel, Germany, France, some cities, some corporates, some corporations of the local cities, local bodies, they are actually extending this. That local tax breaks are there, some refunds are there. One thing which government can do nowadays, when the earth is a global village, they can provide startup visas. So there are many companies which provide startup visas on arrival. So this is a very welcome change from many federal governments. Next slide, please. Now, when government provides this, what actually help takes place? When you provide tax cuts for small business, university educated talent is being supported, you can build vibrant cities. So when any federal government, any state government encourages the startups and entrepreneurial ecosystem, number one, they can create ample economic freedom. They can create a wealth of startup business tools, because startup business tools will definitely help the existing organizations also. They can create vibrant cities. There are some cities in Israel, there are some cities in China or Taiwan which are now called startup cities. Like if you talk about India, Noida is one place, Bangalore is one place where you will find this the sections of the city where you will find many startups. They can give jobs to a huge pool of university educated talent, and generate the government funds, because at the end of these startups, when you create $1 million startups, maybe a couple of two actually country's GDP, there is a substantial amount of startup role in creating wealth for country level GDP. That is one very big advantage. Next. Now we come to the second part of my presentation. It is entrepreneur. So let us go to the next slide. So what is an entrepreneurship? So who will call, like for you, who is an entrepreneurship? So either you are designing a business, or you are launching a company, or you are running a new organization, or you are doing the mixture of these acts together, then you are into entrepreneurship. Next slide, please. So these are the strategies, 4 stages of entrepreneurial life cycle. Number one, as an entrepreneur, you inspire future founders. You show them the path, because Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg have shown path to many digital or technology entrepreneurs to start their companies in a garage and then build a big startup. Second, you can incubate new ventures. You can provide necessary infrastructure. You can expose business opportunities, because Ola and Uber is one very good example where they have exposed this business opportunity in the service sector, where you actually don't own a car, but you can be the world's largest car rental company. You cannot have one single hotel, but you can be the best hotel chain. You can establish the best hotel chain business. So this is what I mean by exposing business opportunities. Third, facilitate growth. Change outdated laws, because you can be the change maker and you can indirectly compel the state governments or federal government to tweak their laws and to make it corporate friendly or business friendly. You can improve the infrastructure. You look at Noida, you look at Hyderabad, all these startup cities. The infrastructure is now, even the buildings are constructed keeping the incubators, the startups into mind. So you can you can build the complete ecosystem. And fourth, capture. So you can leverage the learning, because it's a knowledge economy. It's an intelligence business. And I have kept one slide in the end where we'll discuss how these learnings can be leveraged. Next slide, please. So this is if you are having the entrepreneurial mindset, these are various phases. So let me read out very quickly. Phase number 1, Number one, you need to have entrepreneurial mindset. Then you will go for orientation and goal setting. Then you will go with problem definition and market research. Then market analysis. You know the industry segment in which you want to operate. If you want to operate in FMCG or service sector, your approach should be different. If you want to operate in digitech, your approach has to be different. If you want to have your startup or entrepreneurship in agrotech, your approach has to be different. Customer analysis, know your customer. Then you enter the phase 2. So this is the segments of phase 1. Phase 2 is customer discovery. You can create a questionnaire. You can circulate to 1,000 customers, 100 customers, get their response. You can design the empathy map. After your empathy map, you can interview 50 potential customers. You can analyze the customer needs, their pressing points, their pain points, and gain mapping. And once your gain map is ready, your hypothesis validation is done. So your phase number 2 is over. Now we enter your phase number 3, that is business model development. So phase number 1 is entrepreneurial mindset. Phase number 2 is customer discovery. Now you have found the ideal customer for your product and the finest product for your customer. Both way. So you have to find customers for your product and you have to find product for your customer. Now once this is done, you enter the business model development phase. Then where your value proposition design, followed by business model design, and then you will go with legalities and financial aspects, and then you will go for pitching. Next slide, please. So once your entrepreneurial stuff is over, now there are various stages of entrepreneurship. So you may come across any one of them, and you have to judge as an incubator, as an accelerator. You have to judge them. Seed entrepreneurs. Now these are early stage. They are applicants still at the seed stage of the business life cycle. When their business is just an idea or a thought, we call them seed entrepreneurs. But you may come across early stage entrepreneurs. Now here applicants who have registered their business as a legal entity, they have already registered their company, have started production and have serviced their first customers. They are called early stage entrepreneurs. You may come across, now the next stage of entrepreneurs is growth stage entrepreneurs. They are applicants who have been in business for some time and they have a product that has been tested in the market and they are looking for scaling part. They want to expand their business, or they are planning to access larger markets. Like they might be operating in one city. Now they want to expand their business in multiple cities. So that is also expansion plan. Or compete with existing or new. Like I'm a successful person. Now I want to compete with the best in my market segment. So these are also called growth stage entrepreneurs. And there are then federations. But the periphery products are different companies. So what they are trying to do is just they are trying to merge them in a business model where they just make a cluster so that they can actually rule the corporate world or one segment. Or another is aggregators, where you provide them the platforms to run their successful business. So these are different stages of entrepreneurs. So when I say early stage entrepreneurs are like seed and first and second one. Next. Now, as an entrepreneur, you have to develop ideas, implement ideas, you have to think sustainability, you have to also think in terms of attitude, working together, working in a team, organization capability, acting as a visionary. So these are various traits. Next slide, please. So this is a fun slide where I will discuss anatomy of an entrepreneur. If you are an entrepreneur, what should be your brain? Filled with full of ideas. Your eyes looking for investors and opportunities. Your ears listening to customers' feedback. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to have mouth which communicates the vision. You need to have stomach to trust your gut feelings. You need to have heart full of passion. If you are not a passionate entrepreneur, you may lose ground. I recall one incident where Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani told his son Mukesh Ambani when he was launching his Reliance India Mobile (RIM) that Mukesh, the cost of postcard is 25 paise. So if you can give phone in Indian hand, where the talk time cost of less than 1 minute should be less than 25 paisa. because the customer has to feel that my phone call is cheaper than a postcard. Then only you can really change the way the people of India communicate with their relatives, friends, and family members. So this is, so you keep your feet on ground. Now this is very important, and that's why this anatomy of an entrepreneur is very important. Next slide, please. These are the general characteristics of successful entrepreneurs: self-confidence, passionate, motivating or motivation, product knowledge, ability to network, ability to work in a team, vision, goal mindset, risk-taking capability, creativity, persuasiveness, decision making, tenacity, money management, and adaptability. If you don't adapt, perhaps you can be out of the market. There are many examples because there are many disruptive technologies, and if you understand the WhatsApp University, there are Kodak examples and many examples where the companies have not adapted and they are out of the market. When Apple got started, the revenue of IBM was 100 times more than the successful Apple company. But now the scenario has changed. Why? Because you have to adapt the new wave of technology. Next. These are the functions of an entrepreneurship. And these are 22. Gap filling, organizing, risk taking, decision making, managerial skill, decides location, all this. Next slide, please. Now, these are the harsh realities of being an early stage entrepreneur, because this session is specifically for students and faculties. So there are certain harsh realities for early stage entrepreneurs. You have to work all the time, learn everything about business. It's a lonely game. You need mental strength. Your mental strength will be tested because you need to be there. It's not easy to find out actual real-time customers. Next. Initial ideas will be wrong. You take time to make money. Delays will frustrate you because total cost of ownership, initial cost of customer support, customer retention, and there are many elements which is out of your control. So these are the harsh realities of an early stage entrepreneur. Next slide, please. These are various stages. I cannot, because of the time constraint, I'm already over. I already jumped the fence of time. Ideation, competition, and pitching. Next slide, please. And organization. Next slide, please. Now I enter almost the last startup. Madam, please. Next slide. Now these are various icons of startups: investment, prototype, business plan. So you can see on your screen here are the icons, the universal icons for a startup. Next slide, please. Again, these are the icons like deadline, venture capital, IPO. These are well-known icons. I just kept it for your reference. Next slide, please. For a startup, you need incubator, you need accelerator, co-working space, event organization. Next slide, please. So how business incubators help startups? Mentoring, marketing expertise, networking, seed funding, inexpensive workplace, shared operational costs, technical assistance, access to angel investors, venture capitalists. These are various. So actually, incubators already have the existing startup ecosystem in place. Startups can leverage this benefit. Next slide, please. Same what we have discussed so far. Next slide, please. How to start a startup? So live in the future. What is missing in the world? Write it down and bounce ideas around. Make a prototype. Show that prototype to 100 people. Iterate on the prototype until it makes sense. So you keep on making improvements in the prototype till it makes a sense. You find a co-founder. You register your corporation, split equity. Look for funding and build version one at a time and then keep on iterating. You launch the product and then follow up with users. Are they coming back? Now there are two ways. Users will not come back and users will come back. If users don't come back, you launch again after iterating, after improvising your product or prototype or product. If they come back, you get first 1,000 users. Now if your product is really working in market, but you cannot call it as successful. Very hard. See, growing 5% a week is very high, very difficult. It's very hard, but it is a proven stuff. If you can grow 5% a week for a very month, you can be the next $1 billion company, and then you keep on growing. So this is how you can start a startup, and this is from Anna Vittal. It's very good. That's why I have kept it here. Next slide, please. These are 5 stages of startups: seed, early, growth, expansion, and exit. Let us expand this slide. Next slide, please. So now these are 7 stages: idea stage, friends and family and angels stage, then pre-seed startup stage, then seed startup stage, then early stage startups, then growth stage, and then exit stage. In exit stage, it's IPO. When you launch your IPO, you keep some equity, and then you invite the whole world to be part of your successful business plan. Next, please. So these are startup phases: early, pre-seed, seed, and growth. Next, please. Gap stage. This is where the value of death is there, and you need to be very, so you have to keep your growing 5% a week, and then you can avoid that trap which can make you a failure. Next slide, please. When you go for startups, less than 90 days, 90 to 1, so feasibility part, viability part, and scalability part. So business feasibility, business viability, and scalability. Business feasibility, ideation, concept validation, product or service development, beta version or minimal viable product version 1.0. Then viability part, product launch, market validation. That's where the 1,000 customers, the early 100 customers, the feedback, all this comes into, and then revenue generation. First 1,000 customers, you have started generating revenue. Then scaling part. Next slide, please. Startup weekend. There are many incubators which organizes startups weekend, and the idea is inspire, discover, action, startup, scale, and taking over the world. Next slide, please. This is the innovation part. Take the innovation leap. Corporate boosters know innovation sprint. Now, innovation sprint is very important. That's where you start jumping, you start running towards your business goal. Not in physical sense, in terms of business growth, it's called innovation sprint, innovation accelerator, and innovation transformation. Next slide, please. So the sprints. Now we focus on sprints: innovation, apply, share innovation concepts in a 3-minute video, prospects evaluated, and leading to prospectus present at pitch day. And if you are selected, you get funding, you get free office space, you get work with many people, and then yeah. Next slide, please. So what is innovation sprint? 10 to 12 weeks of time you have: design, prepare, present, and test. Next slide, please. So what do we mean by culture of innovation? So innovation is the act of or process of introducing new ideas, devices, or methods to solve problems. Culture is all about the way of thinking, behaving, and working that exists in an organization. And when you combine them, you create the culture of innovation. It is nurturing an environment that continuously introduces new ideas. Next slide, please. Give me 2 minutes and I'll wrap up. What is the difference between creativity and innovation? Ability to develop new ideas is creativity. Discovering new ways to approach old problems is creativity. What is innovation? Applying creativity to new products or services is innovation. Making something new for society from a creative process is also innovation. Next slide, please. So we have entered the 4th industrial revolution. First industrial revolution was driven by steam. Second, by electricity, where the mass production came. The assembly line actually came into existence. Second industrial revolution. Third industrial revolution is based on computing, and we are right now in that computing era. And the 4th industrial revolution, which is knocking our door, is based on intelligence. And that's why intelligence? Because any 2 persons sitting in a garage can create $1 million company, which has more capital than British Petroleum or any other established conglomerate like Tata Sons. That is the industrial revolution. And this is based on computing. So intelligence would be far more lucrative. Next slide, please. So this is my thank you slide. I keep on telling this, data is the new oil, and what we try to do is, we as an engineering institute, we always try to create very intelligent engineers, but now we have to blend them with entrepreneurial skill, and that's why SSIP 2.0 is already there in state of Gujarat, all engineering colleges, all diploma colleges, all private universities, state, non-state universities, and that's why if data is the new oil, AI would be the combustion engine, and we have to grab this opportunity. If I talk about GC Rajkot, you already have artificial intelligence and data science bachelor's degree program. If I talk about my engineering college, that is Delhi College of Engineering, I already have EIML, that is artificial intelligence and machine learning from this admission year. So we are at right place, and let us leverage this opportunity which government has actually shown to us. One more time, I sincerely apologize because Google keeps on changing their recording policy, and Apple device has some restriction with that, and I have the Apple device, and that's why the recording part had some issues, and that's why uh, I almost wasted 5.5 minutes in getting to this. So my sincere apology for that. And one more time, I thank the able leadership, principal sir, my very good friend Professor K.V. Rathod sir, the event coordinator Prapti Pandya madam, and all as principal sir rightly said, I am one of you. I am very much part of GC Rajkot still. I have very fond memories of working with a very young team at department and a very young team at GC Rajkot. So thank you very much. And if there are any questions, I would be pleased to have. One more time, I thank Prapti Pandya madam for doing this presentation on behalf of me. Thank you, madam, and thank you all for patient listening. Thank you very much.
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, on behalf of Government Engineering College Rajkot, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to our expert, Dr. C.S. Thaker, who has spared the time from his busiest schedule and has shared knowledge about the accelerators and incubators. In addition to this, I would like to thank our Honorable Principal Sir and also the Chairman of IIC, Professor K.G. Maradia Sir, for giving this opportunity for conduction of this event. Further, I would like to thank Professor K.B. Rathod sir, who is the president of IIC, for making the organization of this event. Last but not the least, I would like to express my immense gratitude to all the participants present in this event for making this event a successful. Thank you everyone, and thank you very much sir for joining us and being readily available for giving this expert talk. Thank you very much sir.
I'm always a phone call away, so please.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Chirag sir, thank you.
Thank you,
Please
sir.
remain in contact
Sure,
for
sure.
our SSIP and IIC activities.